Hello, and welcome to Gardening with the Gardeners, a podcast where we discuss our favorite plants, gardens, landscape design, and all things horticulture, with just a touch of our crazy homestead lifestyle thrown in.
I'm one of your hosts, Matthew Boone Gardner, a horticulturalist, landscape designer, and fourth-generation owner-operator of Boone Gardner Landscape.
And I'm Hope Gardner, Matt's wife, a horticulturalist with our local county extension office, as well as a landscape designer with a family business. And together, we make up Gardening with the Gardeners.
Hello, everyone. Here we are.
This is episode 19.
We're almost to 20.
I know, that's going to be like a milestone.
Trucking along.
Slowly but surely.
I'll tell you one thing we need to talk about. We didn't even mention when you and I were trying to figure out how we're going to intro into this. We got some really cool coverage in our local newspaper.
We did. It was really fun. So our local newspaper,
The Oldham Error.
They called and did an interview, and we ended up on the front page.
I couldn't believe it, yeah.
Must have been a slow news week. Hey, but we'll take it.
Yeah, so hopefully we've got some new listeners because of that, and maybe you're...
And if you're a new listener, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Yes, thank you for supporting and listening. So.
Yep. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. I guess we really didn't have too many farm updates. We're busy as usual, like last week.
We got a lot of mulch done, a lot of trimming done, weeding. I got a lot of the annuals planted. Not all. I still have some more to do, but you're never really done when you're a gardener.
Some friends gave us 2 massive hibiscus that outgrew their house that we're going to kind of...
I'm very excited about those. We're going to do some trimming up, repotting. But yeah, those are going to be really nice.
They'll be nice for the new greenhouse.
So, yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on the farm, but we covered a lot last week, so.
So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite plants.
Well, I still like them too, but.
It's one of your favorites too. As you say, everything's your favorite, but.
I mean, come on. It's like asking me which one of my children is my favorite. I like a lot of plants.
Well, today we're going to discuss hydrangeas.
And that is a all-time favorite for a lot of people, especially in the South, but yes.
I mean, no landscape in this area is complete without several hydrangeas.
Yes.
And I always joke that, the holy trinity of garden design, you give me some hydrangeas, larapi, lariopie, monkey grass, and boxwoods, and you can design any awesome garden. And you put maybe some sweet bay magnolias in there, and you're good to go.
Yep.
You can make any awesome garden.
I think you can. Now, I would be tough, to limit myself to just those, but those are definitely the backbone.
Oh, yeah. You can make a mean formal garden, a green and white garden, kind of that traditional old-fashioned garden. Yep.
All kinds of fun stuff.
So we're going to talk about hydrangeas today. We're going to kind of do like we always do, a little bit of history, botany, talk about the cultivars, care, pruning, all the different things that people worry about as far as pruning different hydrangeas at different times. How
to get them to bloom.
How to make them from pink or blue.
Yep. And how to keep those pesky deer.
We can try.
That. They don't read the labels, but yeah. Okay. So
the history of hydrangeas. Hydrangeas, they're really a fascinating history of like any ornamental shrub. The genus Hydrangea belongs to the family Hydrangeaceae, easy for you to say. It includes roughly 75 species native to Eastern Asia and the Americas. And so most of the hydrangeas that we grow today, they originally, they came from like Japan, Korea, China, the Himalayas, and Eastern North America. The name hydrangea comes from the Greek words hydor, meaning water, and angos, meaning vessel or jar. That refers to the cup-shaped seed capsules produced after flowering.
It does. So hydrangeas, actually, they evolved in kind of that woodland habitat with that very rich organic soil, reliable moisture. And so they're native to the environments and that kind of explains why they grow so well in certain areas of our garden today. Most of the species evolved from kind of an understory planting, which is beneath that forest canopy, where they would get good morning sunlight, afternoon shade. Like I said, that consistent moisture.
Yeah, hence not wilting.
Yes. And then the nice thing is being an understory, they got a lot of that good, rich, deep organic matter from, the leaves that fall every fall.
Absolutely. Leaf litter really kind of help feed them and protect them.
Yes.
The arrival of hydrangeas in Europe and America because the European plant explorers first encountered Asian hydrangeas during the 1700s. So all those fantastic Japanese and Chinese gardens in Asian, they had amazing specimens of hydrangeas. And Japanese hydrangeas became highly sought after by wealthy collectors throughout Europe. By the Victorian era, hydrangeas became a symbol of gratitude, abundance, prosperity, and understanding. They quickly became staples of the great estate gardens throughout England, France, and Germany.
And then in America, the American botanists, they started documenting like the native species.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they didn't want to be left behind by all of those European plant collectors. So they really became popular in America. And some of the smooth hydrangeas,
Hydrangea arborescens,
and then the Oakleaf hydrangeas, which
Hydrangea quercifolia.
we love those Oakleafs.
Love Oakleaf
We have
hydrangeas.
several of them all around. We have a lot of
That's
them
one of
around
our
the farm,
favorite, yeah.
actually. Yeah. And then
The lesser known.
that Hydrangea barbara. So it was native to kind of that really southeastern area.
For a little botanical background, they're obviously the family Hydrangeaceae.
Mm-hmm.
The leaf morphology, hydrangea leaves are generally opposite, broad, deciduous, and then serrated. Often have that serrated edge to them.
Yes, on the edges. So they're about, 4 to 10. I mean, it depends on the variety, but 4 to 10 inches long.
Exactly.
And kind of a coarse texture, but it really makes them interesting in landscapes because they have that prominent vein
Mm-hmm.
and then that serration on the leaf. So it does give a really nice texture.
Yeah,
when
because
you use them
everybody
in
thinks
landscape.
about. Sorry, I interrupted you.
That's okay.
Everybody thinks about hydrangea flowers, which obviously are the show.
Well, that's the showpiece. Yeah.
But the foliage is quite lovely on many of them and can be really quite awesome as far as fall color and then just the different, like you said, that deep veining kind of adds some coloration as they bronze throughout the year
Mhm.
and things like that.
Mhm.
So
What most people call the hydrangea flower isn't actually even a flower.
exactly.
So that very large, colorful petal is actually a modified, like the sterile sepals,
Mm-hmm.
which are not the flower. The flower is that teeny tiny little structure in the center.
Yeah, the true flowers are those little bitty guys in the center,
Mm-hmm.
and those fertile flowers contain the stamens, pistil, and the nectar.
And yes, so that's what attracts all of our pollinators. But most people think that those bright, white or pink or
Rose, yeah.
blue, those are not technically the flower.
Yeah, those are the sepals. They evolved to attract the pollinators to them, and then they get in there and get to the little bitty flowers.
Yep. So next time you're out looking at hydrangea flowers, or what you think is a flower, look really close and you can see the flowers in the center.
So there's two main flower forms
Mhm.
of hydrangea that everybody knows of. So the mophead,
Those are those great big large ones.
spherical flower clusters. Examples like Endless Summer, Nico
are-
Blue.
Those endless summers
classics.
are so popular.
Yeah. And then the lace cap is the flattened flower head, almost like a Queen Anne's lace kind of look sometimes,
Sometimes.
Yeah. with the showy sterile florets, around the edges, and then the little floral flowers in the center. I can't speak today.
That's okay.
Examples of that would be like the new Twist and Shout. Well, I say new, but it's been around for a while now.
It's been around for a while. We actually have it right outside the kitchen door.
Mm-hmm.
And I love a twist and shout. I've got twist and shout on one side, and then I've got endless summer on the other side of that bed. And so I've got both of them. And when twist and shout blooms, it always makes me smile. So, okay. Talking about all the different hydrangeas that we have around the farm, let's talk about the hydrangea types.
Yeah. So there's 5 major groups that are commonly grown in Kentucky. Obviously, there's more hydrangeas out there, but we're going to talk about kind of things that do well here or what people know of. So we talked about like the Panicle hydrangeas, smooth hydrangeas, big leaf hydrangeas, Oakleaf hydrangeas, and climbing hydrangeas, which many people don't know there's a climbing hydrangea.
Yeah. Yep.
So let's start with the panicle hydrangeas.
So the panicle hydrangeas are one that,
Hydrangea paniculata.
yes. So it's probably the most reliable choice.
Yes.
It's the one that most people will plant around this part of Kentucky. It's native to Japanese, China, Korea, and even part of Russia, that far east part of Russia. Um, so they do bloom on new wood. And this is what's really important for people to take away is that there's some bloom types that bloom on new wood and some that bloom on old wood. So you really do want to trim those down so they bloom on new wood. They are extremely cold hardy. So when we have those crazy, couple days in January or February, these are really good because they will withstand that cold. But they're also really good heat tolerant and they're sun tolerant. So you can actually put these in sun versus when we talked about how they originated in, as an understory plant. And then they do have that really large flower.
Yeah, they're kind of a bulletproof hydrangea if you're going to go there, because a lot of times hydrangeas can be a little bit picky and kind of, demanding as far as moisture and fertilizer and everything else. Like we talked about those woodland varieties, but these are great in the modern landscape. They work great in residential and commercial landscapes. You see them all around town this time of year blooming. Great examples would be like the limelight, which is kind of the industry standard. Gets to be a huge plant if you let it go, 6 to 8 foot, if not bigger. And it has those big lime green flowers that age to a nice cream white, and then finally finished to maybe a little bit of pink rose. But they're reliable, they're strong, they stand up, they have long bloom, they hold those blooms all the way into the wintertime.
Yes. And it's nice because it does give you some fall interest. So,
and as a landscaper, I love that plant.
Oh, but the next one is one you really love.
Because it solved a lot of problems because everybody wants a limelight, but a lot of people don't have room for a limelight.
Yeah, not if it gets 8 feet tall.
So this is the easy name to remember, just little lime.
Yep. So it's that compact limelight. It only gets
about 3 foot.
Yeah, 3 to 5 feet.
I really 3 foot, but yeah, I guess I get a little bit. Usually 3 foot.
Okay, 3 to 4 feet.
I say 3.
It's ideal for that foundation planting or smaller gardens, and that's what makes it so popular.
Mm-hmm. It is an awesome plant. We've got a bunch in our formal gardens.
Oh, we do. Yeah.
We've got a combination of. We actually have several in there. We've got limelight, quickfire, and little lime all on display, and they're starting to open up now. They're looking fantastic. Other varieties, little lime punch. Bobo's an awesome, fun little guy.
I know you've used that a lot.
Yeah, it's really cute. It blooms just these fluffy white, just very foliferous.
And it's only 3 to 4 feet, so it's another small one.
Mm-hmm.
But great in mass plantings, like hundreds of blooms. Like it's a real showstopper. So quickfire is another one that is
Love it.
A great smaller kind of a dwarf variety.
It's basically limelight, just a different color.
Well, and that's what makes it really nice. And it's also a really early bloomer. So you're going to get a little bit quicker show on it. It's going to bloom like almost a couple of weeks before most of the panicle hydrangeas. So, and it also is excellent to extend the season. So it is just, it's a knockout.
And it gets more of that rosy pink red.
Well, that's why they call it fire.
That's it. Quickfire.
Yeah.
And little quickfire. So just like little lime, you've got little quickfire, which is a dwarf version, again, about 3 foot tall. So those 4 hydrangeas are awesome in the Kentucky landscape.
Yes.
Absolutely awesome. One of the old-fashioned paniculata standards of hydrangea would be the PG hydrangea, Hydrangea paniculata grandiflora. We all, growing up, we used to always plant that, like the tree form of that and the shrub form of that. It's a great.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great kind of the original standard, really.
And I think the standard hydrangeas people don't really use as much as they used to. But that's a fantastic little tree that you can put in a garden.
And when we say standard, so that's the term for when you have normally a shrub, but it's been grafted or grown onto a long stem and created, and so it creates a tree. So you have that kind of lollipop, ball on top, very formal garden, great form.
Fantastic.
Then you have this amazing, head on top with these blooms. It's just spectacular in the garden.
Yes.
Pinky Winky is another fun one. I've used a little bit. But let's talk about smooth
Well,
hydrangeas.
real quick, Pinky
Oh,
Winky. The reason, because I like to look for people to understand the name and then be able to kind of remember it. Pinky Winky is that two-tone flower.
hmm
So it's pink at the base and then the white tips. So it can be really dramatic.
yes, it can be.
So it's a fun little Pinky Winky.
You like the name.
I do like the name. I think they're fun.
I just got excited about smooth hydrangeas since
I
ours
know.
are all blooming.
Okay, so
So hydrangea arborescens.
this weekend our hydrangeas around the Circle Drive just exploded.
So those are Annabelle,
yes.
which is
Is
the
this-
classic.
Mhm.
I mean, it's the quintessential
So
white
this
hydrangea.
is that smooth hydrangea. It is actually native to Kentucky and that eastern United
Yes.
States.
Yeah, you can go out in the woods
So-
and see them. Like
Yep.
not obviously Annabelle's, but the hydrangea arborescens. Yeah.
Yes. So it's also important to remember that this does bloom also on new wood, which makes it very cold hardy. Now, it says that they're shade tolerant, but ours are actually in full sun
Mm-hmm.
and they do great. So the Annabelle is the classic. It's that huge white,
Huge.
huge white head, just a solid ball. They can get 4 to 5 feet tall.
Easily, yeah.
And I
Easily
would
big.
almost say 4 to 5 feet wide because
Oh,
originally
easily. Not, yeah.
we had a bunch of other perennials in front. So I had like a big herbaceous perennial border with these in the back, and they have eaten most of my perennials.
Well, and
So
full disclosure, I mean, I love this plant. I will not stop using this plant, but it does layer itself and also send out shoots and kind of spread. So you say 4 to 5 foot wide, but it actually can go much wider because that's why it's taking over your
it
bed.
can just take over.
Because it travels kind of like little Henrietia, where it just kind of, or not little Henry, but Henry's garnet, where it just keeps going.
Well, and I will say, and we'll come across this a little bit later on, but my Oakleafs up front have done that.
Oh yeah,
And so, the nice thing is,
dig it up, get a new
don't
plant.
be afraid. Yeah, don't be afraid if they do start to layer, and which is just that branch lays over into the ground and it roots, and so you get a new plant. The nice thing is you get a new plant.
That's it. So chop it out
Yep.
and get a bunch more.
Don't be afraid to thin them out, move them around, get
Exactly.
free shrubs.
And one other drawback for Annabelle is that they, like a peony, because they have such massive flower heads, they can flop over after a rain.
Sometimes they will stand back up.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll come back up. Ours have done really well this year. Watching me jinx them, but sometimes people actually put peony cages or other type structures around them to help hold them up a little bit.
Well, because those flowers, they do, when the rain hits them, because remember we talked about in the very beginning when you broke down the name, they do kind of have that cup flower, and so they will hold water, which means that they do get really super heavy.
And since we're talking about that part, an improved version of Annabelle is Incredible.
Yes.
And it has supposedly stronger stems and even larger flowers if it's possible, but it's one of the most popular hydrangeas sold today. Incredible is kind of taking over the market.
Yeah, it is. It's that new and improved Annabelle. So, the breeders saw maybe a trait of the Annabelles that they could improve on, and they did, and it's called Incredible. So it's phenomenal. Now, Incredible Blush is also that improved variety, but it has a soft pink flower instead of just that white flower. So, and it's got that really good stem strength as well. But if you want one that has a little bit of the pink, you go with the Incredible Blush.
Yes, lovely, lovely, lovely. And we're just mentioning there's so many more in each of
Oh
these
my
categories. We're purposely trying not to discuss all of them because it just gets overwhelming. But you can always go pick up your Durr manual and really read about them if you want to.
And I think, we've mentioned Dr. Durr before, and he has this manual of woody plants, and it's an excellent resource guide. It's not going to be one of those, but that has a lot of pictures in it. His pictures are black and white; they're hand drawn, but it is a phenomenal resource. And he lists just like every hydrangea.
If you want to be a serious gardener, you need to have this book in your collection. It's a flex. It's the Bible. It's the
yeah, it's a plant Bible. And we've had the opportunity to meet Dr. Durr. He's an amazing plantsman. So yes, when we refer to that, the Manual of Woody Plants by Dr. Michael Durr. So okay, in another one.
Well,
of
let's talk
those-
about kind of the quintessential. I mean, people think about hydrangeas; they think of big leaf hydrangeas.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the hydrangea macrophylla.
Those are the mophead.
Mophead.
Some people call them the French hydrangeas,
Yep.
but they're actually native to Japan.
Yes, Yes, and these are a lot of those kind of early, plants that the explorers collected and brought back to the England and Europe. But the characteristics, they have this very large leaves, and then they have those big blue or pink flowers. Those kind of big, like when you think about your hydrangeas you get in your florist, this is what you're getting.
Now, here's the thing. These bloom on old wood.
And this is the tricky plant that trips up everybody and kind of makes everybody nervous about, because so many people, our clients, our friends, everybody, we get so many questions about hydrangeas, and they get really nervous about them, and it's mostly because of these guys.
Well, so many people say, well, my hydrangea didn't bloom. Well, you have to know if it blooms on old wood or new wood. Because if it blooms on old wood and you trim that hydrangea at the wrong time, you're trimming all the buds off.
Yes.
And you're not going to get blooms. And then if you don't trim them because you're worried about it, you may not be getting as much new wood. And so it's not able to bloom. So knowing what hydrangea you have, and you can always ask us. I mean, we can try to help figure that out for you. But if it's an old wood bloomer or a new wood bloomer. So these...
Well, and often nowadays when you buy the plant, the tag will tell you.
Oh, yeah, the tags do. But if you've planted and it's been in there for 5 years and you don't remember, then you're going to have some help. But these big leaf hydrangeas are the ones that are the, traditional old wood blooming.
And we're probably going to hammer this point several more times in this podcast. So,
well, because that is important to know.
And, kind of the other big question with these guys, especially here in Kentucky,
yes,
is how do you make them pink or blue? Now, we are usually an alkaline soil here in Louisville because we have limestone, and so our soils tend to towards more alkaline and actually create pink flowers. Now, if you want the blue, which is more unusual in this area, it's usually more like in kind of a East Coast and kind of up north and stuff, you need a more acidic soil. And so, acid soil equals blue flowers. Alkaline soils, i.e. Louisville, means pink flowers. So that's why if you buy one of these types of hydrangeas, they're usually going to default, unless you have a bed that you've been amending or you have other reasons that's acidic, they're usually going to automatically default to that pink. Now, you can fix that by
adding acid.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, when they buy it, the nurseries will put make acidic soil in there to make them bloom. And then you buy them blue, and then you put them in ours, and they're pink.
They go back, they revert back, yeah.
Because of that soil. And so, of course, with extension, I'm going to say, get a soil test. It will tell you what your pH is.
Well, you can do that.
Yes.
But you can also, it's kind of a nice little litmus test itself. So
it'll tell you. So there's products like Mirror Acid.
My favorite, easiest, because
you just put it in there and it works.
You can't hurt the plant.
No.
Great fertilizer.
Products like Hollytone.
Hollytone's excellent
so
too.
Hollytone is going to be anything for typically broadleaf evergreens because they need acid soil as well.
Just prepare yourself. Hollytone stinks, but it's actually a good little.
It's not that bad.
It's pretty foul when you first put it down, but it's a good deer deterrent because of that.
That's true too.
Short time.
A benefit.
And you can also put aluminum sulfate on.
Yep, aluminum sulfate. Yeah. So there's ways to acidify your soil to make those turn blue again.
So some of these varieties, you can't talk about these guys without saying Endless Summer. I mean, it really did change the hydrangea world. I mean, it was introduced out of the breeding program out of Bailey's Nursery in Minnesota.
Well, and one of the nice things is because it blooms on both old and new wood. That's a reliable rebloomer because if it blooms early on old wood, then it'll rebloom on new wood.
And you never had that with these.
No, it was a huge, introduction.
You always had the, Nico Blue. Which if you're lucky,
really
which is
hard
fantastic,
to get.
but it's hard. It's
really
not,
hard to get it to rebloom.
And this reliably reblooms and actually, does its thing. So it's 3 to 5 foot, great plant. And then there's this whole plethora of other Endless Summer hydrangea collections that came out of that, the whole series. So you got Bloomstruck, has good disease resistant, stronger stems, deep blue to even purple flowers. Twist and Shout, you mentioned that.
Yeah, one of my favorites because it's a lace cap.
Yep.
And it's a rebloomer.
It's a remontinate type, so it's a rebloomer.
Yeah.
Excellent pollinator value.
Mm-hmm. So we just touched on Nico Blue. So this is that classic blue hydrangea. It's spectacular if that soil is acid enough for it. and it is sometimes a little hard to get to rebloom, but you get that acid, that the acidity down in the soil, and you've got a lot better chance.
It was
of
the
that.
old standard for
for years.
For years.
I think that was like one of the original blues.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's, again, I mean, I want to say there are dozens that I can put to do injustice. There's many, many more, but we're going to kind of cap at that for now on those. Now, one of our favorites.
Yep. And we've talked about it.
Oakleaf hydrangeas, Hydrangea quercifolia, which it says it right there in the Latin name. Quercia is short for quercus, and that's the Latin name for oak. And folia is obviously foliage, so hydrangea with oak leaf foliage, quercifolia.
So it is native to Kentucky, and it's probably one of the most beautiful natives as far as like hydrangeas, native to southeastern United States. It has a great fall color.
It's awesome. Awesome fall color.
Yes.
I love the leaves, those big oak-shaped leaves.
And then the flower shape is different because it's almost it's like an upside down ice cream cone.
Kind of a cone, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's, wider at the bottom and it gets smaller to the top, so it's big cones. So it provides like all 4 seasons worth of interest. It's got exfoliating bark
Yeah, you're
for
great.
winter.
Thank you. I was going to say that exfoliating bark is.
But you don't see it when the leaves are on it because those great big leaves are.
But it's as pretty and cool as river birch bark. It's really.
Yes, I do agree. I do. So you've got beautiful bark in the winter. You've got fantastic big leaves that have a fantastic fall color. They're very reliable in the summer, and then you've got that great bloom, and it dries in a really pretty.
You can't go wrong with Oakleaf hydrangeas. They're such a great. That coarse texture is so lovely in the landscape. It is phenomenal.
You do have to have enough space because they can get tall.
Well, there's new dwarf varieties. We're going to discuss those.
Oh,
or
yeah.
Newer, I should say.
Newer, you're right. You're right. There are. So one that we have pulling in our driveway is this is one of the classic older varieties. It's Alice. Alice has massive flowers, but it can reach 10 feet.
Easily, if not bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm right there with Alice's Snow Queen.
Love that bloom on Snow Queen.
Yeah, exceptional flower display, strong stems. I mean, both of the Snow Queen, Alice, even the straight species is fine. Ruby Slippers is a really cool one.
Now that's a smaller one.
It is. But I love that name, and Wizard of Oz being one of your favorite movies. But
I know. But because those flowers are a darker, like a reddish.
Cast to it.
Yeah.
And it's 3 to 4 foot. But they age white, then they go to that deep rose, which kind of hence the ruby slippers,
Yes.
and then excellent fall color again as well.
They do have great fall color.
So other great, ruby slippers is a dwarf, and then you have all these other dwarf oakleaf hydrangeas. So like we talked about, they get normally really large, but you have peewee. It's a cute little smaller form, munchkin. There's several different smaller, very compact, ideal for smaller gardens. Of those dwarf oakleaf hydrangeas.
There's so many fun hydrangeas.
One lesser-known group of hydrangeas are the climbing hydrangeas, and this can get a little confusing. And we're going to talk about one kind of particular group, but there is several. There's kind of Hydrangea anomala petiloris, and then there's a Decumaria barbara, which used to be called, some people call it Hydrangea barbara, but it's been reclassified. That gets really confusing. That's a native one, or that's really not in the trade that much. Then there was one that was a Japanese climbing hydrangea, which we used to carry in the garden center, which was really cool, called schizophragma. But again, we like to focus kind of on the one that's most readily available, is that Hydrangea petiloris, and that's kind of the climbing hydrangea, that classic form you see. So it's a vine.
Yes.
It's a climbing vine, and it has these self-clinging aerial rootlets like an ivy would, just like an English ivy or a Boston ivy. It'll actually grip the brickwork and climb up the structure, and you'll see them all over Europe and England, and kind of growing on old buildings and old estate gardens.
So it's really neat because they still have, that not a big mop head bloom, but they still have a nice bloom.
Kind of really a nice white lace cap. Very delicate, and really, it is, really lacy. Talk about lace cap, it really looks like lace.
Yes. So it can climb up like stone structures, brick structures, even mature trees. It'll go up, kind of adhere to those, and then it has bloom.
They're very long-lived, which is really nice. You can use them in a small space, but they can also climb. They can get really
Hmm.
large, 50, 80 foot or better. But unlike a wisteria vine that's going to really kind of take over and be struggle, you can kind of keep it in check if you need to. Now they will grow, but they're easier to keep in check, I think, than like.
They're very easy to maintain.
And they're a tough, nice plant. Once you get them established, they're drought tolerant, they're pest resistant, they're very tough, but they're a beautiful, beautiful plant. They're outstanding for like stone walls, like we talked about, brick homes, these mature trees, like you already said
Yep.
that. Or even just if you have a little trellis you want to have one climb up, it's perfect.
Hmm.
Uh, we were very excited because we've had this one in the past, but we got you a little gift. You said it was a gift for me, so I guess gift for both of us.
So the one that we have that I was just talking about that we just got was a variety called Miranda. It's got that variegated foliage, so it's got the cream edges. So it gives you a really, really long season of interest because even if it's not in bloom, it's got that two tones foliage. So it's really exciting.
It's really pretty, really pretty.
And then there's also one called Firefly. It has a bright variegation as well. So that's another really fun one.
Yeah, there's a lot more work on these climbing hydrangeas. They're really a great addition to the garden.
And not a lot of people know about them.
Okay, we're going to circle back to the great hydrangea pruning confusion.
Okay, let's try to clear this up.
The secret is simple,
Okay,
and you said it earlier.
share it.
You said it, or no, you already said it. Know whether your hydrangea blooms on old wood or new wood.
Yes. So the new wood bloomers, those are going to typically be your panicle hydrangeas or your smooth hydrangeas.
Mm-hmm.
And the best time to prune those are going to be late winter or early spring.
And you can cut them back aggressively.
Yes.
And when we
you
say
can.
aggressively, we mean aggressively.
Well, you take some of ours down to like
I take our Annabelles. I used to kind of protect. Now, last year I would take them to the ground. Essentially, I'm talking to maybe a couple inches.
4 to 6 inches.
Not even that much. I took them down hard.
Well, whatever you did, it was spectacular because I cannot tell you. I wish that the listeners could see how gorgeous this hedge is.
We
I
might
mean,
have
it's
to put a
phenomenal.
picture in the.
In the caption?
Yes.
All right. So then those,
Old wood bloomers.
yep, those are going to be your traditional Mopheads, the Oakleafs, and even the climbing hydrangeas.
And those flower buds, as you said before, they formed during the previous summer.
Yes. So right after they bloom, you've got a little bit of time, and then they start forming the buds for next year. So if you prune those,
Do it immediately after they flower.
yeah, at that time period that you can wait just a little bit, you can prune them.
But you won't want to prune those heavily in the fall
No.
or the winter or the spring.
Or the spring.
Yeah.
It's got to be right after they bloom
Yeah.
because otherwise it doesn't have time to set those buds for the next
And
year.
you'll sacrifice those bloom buds.
Yep.
And it's a good rule of thumb, and I've said this before on the podcast. If you're ever in question on when to bloom something, most plants are pretty forgiving. But
Not
if you're
bloom
ever
something.
bloom something, if you're ever in question on when to trim something
Yes.
after before it's I always say do it after it blooms. That's always a good rule of thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Right after it blooms, if you're ever in doubt, you can't go wrong with that.
Or just deadhead,
Mm-hmm.
which means basically as soon as that bloom starts looking poor, just trim them off. So,
And then obviously with reblooming hydrangeas,
Yes.
we talked about all these great reblooming hydrangeas like
Endless Summers,
Yeah.
Twist and Shouts.
the Bloomstruck, all those. They bloom on both old and new wood, and
Mhm.
so really you can lightly prune them and then remove the winter damage in the spring, but they're much more forgiving.
Now, I will say with the Twist and Shout, because we had a hard winter. So when they started growing, they were growing from the base this
Mhm.
year. And so we actually let them get about almost 2 feet tall before we started taking the wood that did not leaf out.
We're very patient
off.
with it, and it looks a little unsightly for a while because you got these dead stems sticking up. It's just like when your crepe myrtle gets really hit really hard,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll want to come in there and take that dead out once you see where it's going to come back from. So like you're saying, we literally just cut some of that back last weekend.
Well, because on those stems that you think are dead,
Sometimes they do.
those buds will leaf out. And so
Mhm.
instead of trimming all of that off, I wait until I know what buds are going to open and then trim it right above where that bud starts.
Mhm.
the one that's opening up.
Or
So,
that new shoot is
yeah,
that.
the new
Yep.
shoot.
Yep. Exactly.
So, okay. So, what is the best site condition? If you're going to plant those as a landscape designer, what's the best site to put those hydrangeas?
Well, it kind of depends on the type.
Okay.
So if you go back to, we talked about paniculata types, they're usually full sun. You know, the arborescens, depending on the variety, can be full sun to a little bit of shade. Even though that plant was originally native to shady type environments, Annabelle loves full sun. It's going to do better in that. The cool thing is your oak leaf hydrangeas are very versatile. And you and I both always use them as a great go-to in the toolbox for shade gardens. But my goodness, they do really well in full sun too. I mean, just it's amazing how well they'll do in full sun. Now they'll need a little more water and kind of keep them healthy. But once they're established, they do great.
Yes.
And then obviously your big mophead ones, they're going to need that protection like you discussed earlier in the podcast.
Morning sunlight, afternoon shade.
And your rich organic soil.
Good air circulation.
Not our heavy clay.
Well, baby them a little bit in the beginning, get them established, and they can usually survive just fine. Yes. So really, there's no excuse. I mean, every garden should have some type of growing condition for a hydrangea.
All the different hydrangeas, you have so many different choices as far as the right plant, right place. You can definitely find one.
Yes. So as long as they get at least like an inch of water a week, it's probably going to need a little bit more during the heat of the summer. And really, especially when you're trying to get them established, do that slow, deep watering because you want those roots to go down deep with that water.
And that'll help hold those leaves up in particular, because the hydrangeas, particularly the mophead big leaf ones, they're always the first ones to wilt. And they're kind of a good little indication of when you need to water your garden, but they also can cry wolf sometimes too, when the other plants are still doing okay and they'll wilt down, but then they'll also immediately that night that sometimes they'll come right back up once it cools off.
I've noticed that there's a period of time like right after morning sun, right as it's getting into the afternoon sun, my twists and shouts always look a little bit wilty.
Always rough.
And then like 2 hours later, they're fine.
I know, it's so crazy.
Once it cools down just a little bit.
So that's a nice thing. They recover fast. So
They do.
You don't have to get too worried because it can scare people at first. Oh my gosh, my plant's dying. But
Yeah. So early spring fertilizer, usually with kind of that slow release, balanced, unless you're trying to get that acidity in your soil.
Yeah, you don't want a heavy nitrogen because you're not trying to promote a bunch of shoot growth.
So nitrogen is going to create leaves. And the more leaves you have does not mean you're going to get more flowers. So really, if you're trying to get more blooms, you want to use something that has maybe a moderate center number, a little bit higher. But most of the times, just a nice, slow release, balanced fertilizer will do it good. Make sure that you mulch.
Yeah, as always, just like we talked about, a good 2 to 3 inches of mulch. Trying to pile it up on the stems too much. Obviously, like we always discuss, the benefits that are going to retain moisture, cool the roots, and suppress weeds. And that mulch will definitely help those varieties that tend to wilt down and kind of keep them from doing as much.
But if you're mulching them, don't get it real close to that stem because you don't want that moisture to hold in and rot your stem. So lightly right around the base and a little bit more around where that root zone is going to be.
So we'll talk about a few common problems, diseases. Cercospora leaf spot.
Yep.
That's that classic. If you have hydrangeas, or if you've had particularly big leaf hydrangeas, you know this one, don't you?
Unfortunately, you do, and it's kind of that purple spot or that brown leaf.
It looks like somebody took. I think it almost looks like somebody was like took a cigarette and like put out on the leaf. It didn't burn it all the way through, but just kind of put it out on there. Like.
Yep. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yep. So because that leaf spot, you really want to make sure that you've got good air circulation. So remove any of those infected leaves. So as soon as you see it, just pinch that leaf off, put it in a trash bag. Don't let it drop on the ground. Just improve your air circulation.
And try to avoid overhead watering, which is hard, but I mean, if you can, that's a good technique.
Yep.
But one thing I always tell my clients, because I mean, almost always you're going to get a little bit of this.
It's humidity
And it's
in
not.
Kentucky.
It's Kentucky. It's like having black spot. It's okay. It does not kill the plant.
No.
Very rarely does it actually. It's just kind of one of those things. But I've had so many people when they have new hydrangeas, they get really worried, and rightly so, because it's kind of unsightly. It's a little scary looking.
Oh,
but it's not.
Anybody that has a hydrangeas is going to understand it.
No, but new gardeners I'm talking about.
Yes,
People that
new gardeners do get worried about it.
Yeah, and so they don't know that. I'm like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So don't let that one freak you out. Another one that goes right there with is the powdery mildew. Same conditions cause it, same issues, same humidity, our horrible Kentucky summers.
Yep. So powdery mildew just looks like somebody took some baby powder, just lightly dusted it in the air, and it just settled on the leaves.
So we got guys smoking a cigarette and put them on the leaves. We have people spreading baby powder.
But that's kind of powdery mildew.
Literally, it does look like that. And it's usually just a cosmetic issue too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pain, but it's not a big deal.
So really any of these, if you think about, any of these leaf kind of diseases or whatever, they just minimize the amount of photosynthesis that occurs in that leaf.
Mm-hmm.
So that plant is just not running at optimal power is basically what it is. So, our humidity, you're going to have problems with powdery and mildew. If you increase the airflow that moves that air around, moving that air around helps the plant dry off, that surfaces dry off better. And so you don't have that powdery mildew as much or as heavily. Usually, like I said, it's just cosmetic. It's not going to hurt it. So,
another one's botrytis blight. It kind of affects the flowers more than anything. Remove the affected blooms. Root rot. We talked about, poor drainage or having stuff kind of heaped up on them, like mulch too much. You want good drainage. They don't want a lot of moisture. They want moisture, but it can't be. It's even. It's where they can be a little bit picky, especially depending on which one it is.
right.
But they're not going to be one of ones that sit in water for sure.
No, they don't.
They do not like. So if you have heavy clay, which we do, and it's a wet spot, that's probably not going to be the best place for these hydrangeas. Japanese beetles, those guys,
they really like the Oakleafs.
Mm-hmm.
And
several other ones too. Yeah,
they do. Yeah,
but the Oakleafs, you're right.
They can really skeletonize that foliage, especially like in the fall when that foliage starts turning red.
I know, it looks so pretty in the daggone Japanese.
And the Japanese beetle can get it. So you can hand pick those off. They're not bad. Just throw them in a bucket of water. Some people try the traps. I don't really like to try to trap Japanese beetles.
I swear it draws more.
Yeah, exactly. Only because I think it does draw more in.
It draws everybody's in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, and you don't really want any more than you already have.
Yeah.
So,
and like any plant, aphids can be a problem, but it's usually minor.
That's minor.
It's not. So the big one.
Oh, goodness gracious.
My bane of existence for all of our landscape clients, especially in town, deer.
Yeah.
If you live in some of these older neighborhoods in town, Rolling Fields, Indian Hills, whatever, you've got deer. Hunting Creek, bad, really bad.
Worse than we do out here in the country.
Yeah. There's no pressure. They're kind of crowded in there. Obviously, there's them.
Well, they look at these neighborhoods as salad bars because they just go through and eat whatever they want.
They're salad bars, and I also call them yard ornaments because they literally just hang out like dogs, and they'll look at you like, "Hey, I'm supposed to be here."
Yeah. So really, it's those big leaf hydrangeas that they're especially attracted to, and they're opportunistic browsers.
Well, and what I always say, especially when I used to give more talks. Now you're the one doing all the talks, but when I used to give garden talks, I always say the deer don't read the literature.
Don't read the tags.
They don't read books. So there are kind of rules of thumb as far as, deer resistance or non-deer resistance, but then they always break the law. They break the law, break the rule,
Yeah, it should be a law.
But like you said, if you start off from kind of the worst to the best as far as what can handle deer, those mophead types, Hydrangea microphylla, they're going to eat them like a salad bar, like you said earlier. They love them. They love the buds. They love the flowers. They love everything. And the same with the smooth hydrangeas,
like the Annabelles.
They can really go in. Man, it's so frustrating when you go in there and like you plant an amazing planting, or they'd come up and then the deer just show up and it's like just graze it all down. It's really rough.
Yeah, it is.
As you start to move into the Panicle hydrangeas, they're more tough, and sometimes I've seen it on a property where they don't touch them at all, and then sometimes they touch them some, but it's kind of a moderate. It's pretty a little better, much better. I mean, compared to like some of the other ones.
They might come in and nibble just to
Mhm.
kind of see, oh, what does this taste like? And then like, there's other things. Let me go get those daylilies.
When you kind of, if you think about it, it makes sense because the what we're tracking on is the foliage type. So the foliage on those Mopheads is more of like lettuce. I mean, more softer, tender, and the smooth is the same way. And then the Panicle starts to get a little coarser, has a little more texture to it. And then you move into like the climbing hydrangea.
They're going to get a lot more stem.
Yeah, or the oak leaf is
Those are
much
just-
coarser, but
yeah.
but those have really good deer resistance according to everything you read, and they do. But even that, I've had them just go in there and just eat it.
nibble away.
Yep. And so you just never know. It depends on what they have in the area, how they're feeling that day, what's going to go on. But
Well, I think you did touch on a couple things. If there is a really heavy deer presence, then there's a lot more deer grazing. There better be a lot more food for them. So they're going to try a lot of other things that are around because there's more pressure on the amount of deer and they need a lot more food. So they're going to try more things and just see what they think might be tasty.
yes,
Like out here in the open where, we don't really have neighbors. I mean, we do, but not really close by. And so there's not a lot of opportunities for them to try stuff out here. It's pretty basic. It's the normal stuff. We're fortunate that we've got the guard dog that kind of keeps them at bay away
And the
from
house
our
dogs.
gardens. Yeah. But other than that, we're not like a subdivision where you've got, one neighbor has some, great tasty hostas and daylilies and a couple hydrangeas thrown in, and then the next neighbor has the same, and they just go from house to house to house, just like you go down, an all-you-can-eat buffet.
exactly. But again, if you have deer and you want hydrangeas, I would definitely try. I mean, I would plant Oakleafs, I'd plant the Panicles, and I do. And that's a good rule of thumb to think about with deer in general, as far as when you're trying to think about what kind of plants are deer resistant, and you don't know is that the the Oakleaf hydrangea have fuzzy, coarse foliage, and so that's less palatable. Kind of like they don't eat lamb's ear, they don't like herbs because they don't like the smell. So like basils and all that kind of stuff. They don't like the smell of kind of nepeta. It's got that kind of herbal, and they don't like those kind of coarser textures either.
No. So I was going to say, if you really want to try some and you have a high deer pressure,
Population, yeah.
Ruby Slippers, Snow Queen, Alice, Munchkin, those are all great oak leaves that you can try that are really, really deer resistant.
Yeah, so that's all the oak leaves, and then of course the Panicles we discussed, like Limelight, Little Lime Punch, Bobo, Quickfire, Little Quickfire, on and on and on. But all those are good. Again, as you move into it, and if you want, there are plenty of people that do grow the Annabelles, the Incredibles, the Endless Summers, the Twist and Shouts, the Nico Blues in these high pressure environments. But you will want to probably use a deer way or some other type of
Some of those products that kind of keep those animals away.
Yeah, kind of a scent. It gives a scent to it or a flavoring to the foliage. We had clients that had elaborate gardens in town that would put up fishing. Some people do the full out deer fences, which can be quite costly. But a cheap way to do that is actually do like fiberglass poles or even bamboo poles and do monofilament, just fishing line, and wrap several lines at different heights. And the deer touch that with their nose, and they don't like the way that monofilament feels. It kind of makes them stop, and they don't,
Well, they can feel it, but they can't see it.
Yeah, and so it's kind of
then that freaks them out because they're like, I don't know what that was.
And so it works. It's quite effective. I've seen people, really serious gardens be protected by that manner. So
Yes.
I think that's probably a good introduction into hydrangeas. Kind of a good overview. What do you think?
It is there's so...
I feel like we kind of ripped through it fast because we could speak for hours on this.
But there's so many varieties that they've come out with.
Oh my gosh, it's
they
overwhelming. Yeah,
yes.
we really kept it simple
and I
as
think
far as that.
every year they must come up with 6 or 8 dozen more new varieties that all have, amazing blooms and colors and textures and fun stuff. So there's always neat stuff, but if you just remember the basics,
Yeah.
New wood, old wood, acidity, things like that. I mean, you can try a ton of hydrangeas.
Yeah.
We could spend all day if we wanted to go through like each and every variety that was on the market.
And I think that's why we kept it simple and kind of spent time on more of the more well-known varieties, just because it can be overwhelming and you don't want it to be. So,
Yep.
you know, the best Panicles are the Little Limes, Quickfires, Bobos. Best Native, Incredible, Annabelle. Best Big Leaf.
In the summer, yes.
Oh, Let's Dance. We didn't talk about that one either, too. That's got, again, there's so many.
Well, and then I was thinking, oh my gosh, I've got that brand new variety out front on the close to the road. LA Dreamin'. I mean, that's going to be a really
Lady
awesome.
in Red.
Yes, that's another cool one. So I mean, there's so many hydrangeas, and they're all so neat. They have so much to offer.
And then we don't even talk about all those cool hydrangeas we got from that Southern Plant Conference years ago from Dr. Durr's.
Yes.
We won't
Well,
go
because
into
Dr. Durr was a breeder. Yeah, he started into those. So I think every garden should have at least one hydrangea.
Oh, yeah.
There's always something to offer between, all the different, types. So
Yeah, whether you have a estate garden or just a simple foundation planting. And some of them do well in pots, too, so you can really grow them and have fun with them. So
yep.
I think that's probably a wrap on hydrangeas for this time, don't you think?
Oh my gosh. I think it is. So again, if you all have any questions, please feel free to send us an email. I always mess up our email address, but it's actually really easy. Gardening with the Gardeners. So it's GWTG, Gardening with the Gardeners, at boonegardner.com.
Mm-hmm.
And our last name, Gardner, is GARDINER.
Don't forget the I. Thank you for listening to Gardening with the Gardeners. Please subscribe or follow to get new episode updates, and please help us to get the word out about our new podcast by dropping a rating or review. She already plugged the email, so we will call it a day. Hope to see you next time on Gardening with the Gardeners. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy planting.
Get out there and plant some hydrangeas.